Hi, I'm Max Keiser, and this is, of course, the Keiser Report. Markets, finance, and scandals, and the collapse of the global economy. We've been reporting on it now for a number of months as the global deflationary spiral takes its toll.
This is actually USO they're talking about.
USO. And they've got quite a large bit of money in this exchange-traded fund. And it's down sharply.
I'll give you those numbers. The biggest oil ETF, the U.S. Oil Fund, has dropped 50% since the start of April 2006, even though oil is up 11%.
Right. So clearly it's an example of Wall Street professionals ripping people off. I mean, whoever has money in this, you see, if there was such a thing as recourse in America, the people who own this piece of garbage ETF could sue the pants off Wall Street for selling it. But I know from working on Wall Street that if you try to sue anybody in Wall Street, you end up taking your case to an arbitration panel that's stacked with brokers and bankers, and your hope of recovering any of your money is about zero.
Well, also into this equation enters this man, Emil von Essen, who runs his own commodity trading firm, and he's developed software that predicts and profits from pre-rolling. So he says, quote, "I make a living off the dumb money. These index funds get eaten alive by people like me."
He's a parasite. Now, parasites, which is not necessarily a bad thing, parasites have an important function in any ecology, and they're a vital part of the biosynthesis that happens both in the ecology and the economy. As even Adam Smith pointed out, the similarities between the ecology and the economy when trying to come up with models where you'd have a fair distribution of all of the risks and rewards in any closed environment, whether it's Wall Street or a wheat field. But here, the parasites have grown to gargantuan Godzilla proportions, where the parasites are running the show. The parasites, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and this software developer, are running the show. Now, that's no different than having runaway cancer. I mean, having runaway cancer is a bad thing. It'll kill you. Having a parasite like this just clipping people's profits and causing wide-scale poverty, doesn't add anything to the economy whatsoever. He's not adding anything to the economy. He's actually destroying the economy. He's a parasite, and he's a financial terrorist.
You mentioned parasites, and you mentioned Goldman Sachs. They're in the next headline. Goldman Sachs creates derivatives clearing unit. So Goldman Sachs has started a central exchange for derivatives. So I guess they're preparing for the fact that there is going to need to be a derivatives exchange, and lo and behold, they themselves have created it.
This is central planning. In other words, the U.S. economy was supposed to move away from centrally planned command and control, and you're not supposed to have too big to fail banks. There's supposed to be competition, free market competition. If Goldman Sachs is going to be the sole market maker in these derivatives, they will continue doing what they've been doing all along, representing both the buyer and the seller, manufacturing prices that have absolutely nothing to do with the underlying supply and demand of the securities that they're supposed to be trading, raking huge rent-seeking profits off the top and leaving all the garbage for everybody else, and taking that huge profit that they basically, at the very least, you would have to call it immoral. But again, I prefer the financial terrorist sobriquet. And they put that into their Christmas bonuses.
Well, speaking of terrorism, and also speaking of command and control economy, there is one form of communism that all Americans love, and that's the military-industrial complex. They really love to support this. And this brings me to the final headline about the corruption of the markets and the entire financial system. Where did the money to rebuild Iraq go? Well, you look at this pie chart, the red is the unaccounted for bit. Yes, apparently the Pentagon can't account for $9 billion of, well, the $9.1 billion in Iraqi oil money used to rebuild Iraq.
That's correct. They've lost 95%, and they're heroes for having lost all that money. And as we found out through WikiLeaks this past week, we've got a situation where the U.S. and the U.K. are funding all of the extremism in Afghanistan through their proxies in Pakistan, who are operating on behalf of hedge fund managers on Wall Street and the City of London. I will add that piece to the puzzle. In other words, there's no easier way to make money than by dropping bombs on innocent folks, because you make money on the bombs, you make money on the industrial complex, industrial military complex, you make money on the volatility. You can buy volatility with the VIX option, for example. If you know you're going to drop a bomb somewhere, you simply buy volatility with the VIX, the VIX as it's called, and you guarantee to make money that way. And the list goes on and on.
Well, the audit of the Pentagon, which found that 95% of the money went missing, they have also found no evidence of fraud, they say. That 95% of the money can go missing, and there's no fraud.
Well, they are financial terrorists. That's who's running the economy in America, and it starts at the top. Barack Obama. Hello, financial terrorism. It's all you, babe. Stacy Herbert, thanks for being with me, contangoing on the Keiser Report.
Thank you, Max.
Businesses that have to pay for infrastructure costs are going to go by the wayside because everything can be done online. The culture isn't there, but anything that can be done in the real world can be done online. I mean, you're showing it right now. We're talking to someone from France. We're doing a show. It's just amazing what's happening with the revolution online.
Of course, your story, George Hemminger, mirrors the story of the state of California itself that finds itself now completely indebted. It's one of the coma states, California, Oregon, Michigan, and Arizona, that are suffering from enormous debts and they're going bankrupt. So is this some parallel you see here?
I definitely see a parallel. What I see is now former liberal newspapers like the LA Times are now doing investigative journalism. They brought out that big story with the city of Bell where the city manager is being paid $800,000 a year, and city council people were paying over $100,000 a year for attending one meeting a month. And what you're seeing is genuine anger by the people. I mean, people came out en masse in the city of Bell, people outside of the city, and what you're going to see is slowly the people going after government officials that are just being paid these extravagant amounts. And the word on the street, this happened to me at a restaurant yesterday. People aren't talking about, oh, let's vote them out. Of course they're saying that. But they're talking about, violence. I was talking with the restaurant owner, and a gentleman just popped in and said, you know what we need to do? We need to get rid of all these guys. Violently. So that's the new kind of cultural thing happening. People are so upset. They don't know what to do. So they're physically going to these cities, and they're going after these guys. And you know what? The city manager, all the people that were being paid these extravagant salaries, they ran away to their Huntington Beach $1 million home or their ranch estates. So what you're seeing is kind of like a mini revolution developing. The people are starting to wake up, and they're attacking these just outrageous salaries by some of these city employees. Now, on the other hand, Max, there's also going to be a blowback from, I think what's happening is the state and the cities are going to now start going after the taxpayers in incredible ways that we've never even thought of before. Here locally, street cleaning, it's no big deal. They would go around my car before. Now they have 2 or 3 hybrid cars following the street sweepers, just ticketing everybody in sight. Sure, they're $50 tickets, but some of the traffic light tickets out here, you're talking $500 for a traffic light ticket. So you're going to start seeing this in California. It's like a reverse thing. All the people are going after the government, but the government at the same time is actively going after the people. So where it ends, I don't know. But I can tell you, a lot of people have had it up to here.
Wow, revolution. Sounds exciting. George Hemminger, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Take care, Max. Have a good one.
All right, and that's about going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report. I want to thank Stacy Herbert, and I want to thank my guest, George Hemminger. And if you want to send me an email, please do so at keiserreport@rttv.ru. Until next time, this is Max Keiser saying bye, y'all.